There's a couple of features that we're going to talk about with intern John the intern. I like John the intern better. John the intern, we're going to talk with him about a few things, but I want to start off with something that you may not remember as much. Back in January, we had, I want to bring this up so people can see it. But in January, we had written an article about the new Congress, the 116th Congress. And in there, we mentioned when it was starting, this is January 16th of 2019, and we had been talking about Representative Anthony Brindisi. Now, he represents the New York 22nd District, my district. And at the time, he was having a bad day. He was having problems. He didn't have staff. He wasn't fully funded by Nancy Pelosi. He was not getting any of the selections that he wanted for committees. He had voted for Joe Biden for the Speaker of the House, which pissed off Nancy Pelosi, and a lot of Dems were not happy with him about that. He had some problems. And during that time, as we were looking at this, the question that I had at the time was, is he effective? Will he be able to do the job? Now, there were a lot of unanswered questions that were out there, which I had brought up publicly. The fact that he had the committee rejection that came from Nancy Pelosi directly, which is a statement against her confidence in him. And one of the biggest things, not only is he also to the left, but one of the biggest things in the article is we were talking about the lack of influence. And the fact that and I'm quoting the article here, freshman Representative Brindisi has no friends in the White House. There is no influence he holds among Republicans in the House or Senate. He had already missed a vote. This is a problem. This is a problem. Because and let me explain this, because a lot of people don't realize, well, what do you mean he doesn't have friends? Why does it matter if he has friends in the White House? Why does it matter if he has friends in the House or the Senate? He's a member of Congress. He can just do stuff. No, you can't do anything in Congress unless you have friends, unless you have people who back your bills. You are valued by the number of co-sponsors you can get to a bill. Your bill is going to pass or not based on the number of people you have who support you. The more friends you have, the more support you have, the more things you can get done. Also, the more influence you have. If you want to change a different bill and you want to, or you want to get funding for your state or for your locality, you can't do that unless people believe you have some political power, unless you have friends and allies who will back you up and say, you know what, he's got 50, 100 people who back a bill. You know, those are votes that will get my bill through. I want to back him, get him that funding, even if it's pork barrel funding. This is how the government works. So even if you have pork barrel funding, so you want to get your local university to be able to do a grant on watching shrimp on a treadmill, where do you think that money comes from? The only reason why a bill like that goes through is because the person who put it in has a lot of friends and people owe them favors. And so they say, yes, I will fund, your $250,000 shrimp on a treadmill bill, that pork barrel funding, because I owe you a favor. And you help me pass a bill along with 100 other people. Or the next bill I'm going to pass, you're going to be able to get 100 people talking about this. And that's what Congress is about. It's about deal making. It's about friends. That is a reality. We cannot hide from that. So when you have a member of Congress that cannot get friends, that does not have support, that no one cares about, that there are no favors that are being done for them, and they only owe other people, that's useless. That's ineffective. That's a problem. And it's a big problem. It's a very big problem. So that's why we were talking about it. And so I wanted to take a moment to step back and look at it. And to frame this properly, The reason why we're taking a look at it is because at this time, the government is looking at doing a pay increase. Okay, Congress wants to get more money. They want a pay raise. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of them, they want a pay raise. They want more money because they can't live on $174,000 a year. Literally about 4 times, on average, 4 times what the average American is taking home right now. It is, on average, the people who are watching this right now, you are somewhere between 3 to 5 times less money that the members of Congress are making right now. And they're saying they can't live on that. I imagine that if you're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year, like most Americans are, guess what? You can make your bills meet. And if I gave you $174,000, you'd be able to make your bills meet a whole lot easier. Members of Congress say they can't live on that. I don't understand this. Millions, tens of millions, tens of millions of Americans live on $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year. The median income in the United States is $61,000 a year. That's still almost 3 times less than what a junior freshman, Anthony Brindisi, walks into Congress this year. He makes $174,000. And somehow, members of Congress, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, can't live on it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a fan of increasing taxes, increasing the congressional pay, she says this is a woman who, before she ran for Congress, was a bartender. Now, I'm not putting down bartenders. Please don't misunderstand me. I know lots of friends of mine who are bartenders. They're great people. They work hard. They put themselves through college. They take care of their kids. They take care of their families. They work hard. They make good money. Many of them are good people. I don't know a single bartender that makes $174,000 a year. If there is a bartender out there that is making if you're making more than $174,000 a year, tell me, where are you? I will be a busboy for you, because he's got to be making at least $60,000. I'll do that. I'll be a busboy for $60,000. I will be a barback for $60,000. If the bartender's making $174,000, the barback is making $60,000. I will do that job for $60,000. Absolutely. Let me ask you, John, intern. Mm-hmm. Would you work as a barback for $60,000?
In a heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Different perspective. Let me ask. You have lots of friends that are in college that live. Mm-hmm. Do you know any bartender that makes over $50,000 a year?
It depends if they're head bartender or how tips come in, but for the most part, no.
Okay. So I'm not being outrageous here to say that.
No. Like, if they consistently get a crazy amount of tips every single day, potentially. But at this point, no. I don't know a single bartender who makes above that.
Okay. And I can tell you that with the economy of New York State, there isn't a single bartender in the New York 22nd District that makes $174,000 a year. There isn't one.
Not even close.
Not even close. So I say all that to bring this into perspective. So Congress is looking to get paid, and Anthony Brindisi has decided, and I want to see, is Congress worth a pay raise? Have they done a job that justifies that they should be worth more? And so we decided to take a look at our old friend, Anthony Brindisi, again. And again, you can go and see this if you want. You can go to the Voss Political Commentary, and you'll be able to see all of this information. And the article is following up on the effectiveness of Representative Anthony Brindisi, since he is my member of Congress. And what we can see very quickly in looking this over, Representative Anthony Brindisi has sponsored 8 bills. He has sponsored 1 amendment. And the amendment was exactly 7 words. 7 words that had no true impact. That's not much. I don't count that as important when it's 7 words that don't change anything. But you can say that he did it, and that's an accomplishment. He did get an amendment, and we covered that at the time. In addition, he made a report, or rather, he is requesting to create a report, a one-time report, H.R. 2333. It is a bill about veterans, and the bill itself is just to get a report made in a year. And as we said in the article, and I'll read it to you directly as we said it here, and where is it? I write so much I forget what I say. Okay. In total, there it is. It is estimated by the Scopus Labs that there is a 23% chance of this becoming a law. Okay? And in total, if passed, this will create a report due in 1 year that, at which point, actual action will need to be reconsidered, discussed, and offered. The timing is actually perfect for a re-election and bolstering a campaign. So that was the comment we had then. Oops, and why is everything frozen? I don't want to be on that screen anymore. There we go. Sorry, mouse is acting up. So it's throwing me off here. So that's got to say something to you. It says a lot to me. It says a heck of a lot to me that we're seeing a failure, for lack of better words, a failure of any kind of true action. When you have that many bills out and they do nothing, that's not saying much. I mean, the big claim to fame that Anthony Brindisi spent his first 3 months in Congress having is, I'm fighting against Spectrum. I want to get your bills down. And that bill has one co-sponsor. No one else in Congress cares. In fact, as we take a look at it, we find out that none of the bills that Anthony Brindisi is supporting have any support. And when I say that, we decided that we were going to take a look at this. Let's make the fairest comparison that we possibly could. And we compared Anthony Brindisi to Representative Anthony Delgado, who is for the New York 19th District, which is adjacent to the New York 22nd District. And Mr. Delgado has never held office before. In fact, he was a rapper before. So this former rapper, and to be fair, he was also a lawyer, but this former rapper who never held elected office went in. He has 10 bills that he has put forward, including one for farmers, which Mr. Brindisi talks about a lot, but has not put out a single bill for farmers. And he's getting, on average, about 13 co-sponsors for every bill. He has H.R. 2336, a bill that has 23 co-sponsors and has a 72% chance of becoming law. So when you look at this comparison, you're saying to yourself, and even that isn't a whole lot as Congress goes. But I have to ask you, if you have a guy who has a 23% chance of having something become a law, and that what happens if he does get it is you get a report in a year, and then you actually have to figure out what to do. Or you have somebody who's putting together a bill that's going to allow farmers, young farmers, to be able to exist. And he has another bill that's out there that's going to, actually several bills that are out, that actually have a 72% chance of being passed and actually doing something. Who's doing their job? Who has more influence? Who's going to get more money for their district? Now, this may all sound very boring until the day that you want to have a new business startup. That may sound really boring until you need government funding, until the moment that your district, your area, your town wants to get federal funds so that they can fix the streets, to fix the street lights, to do anything. You want to fix the water? You know, any of those issues, you want to put in solar panels for renewable energy for your county, for your town. Guess what? That money is coming from the federal government. It's your tax money, but it's being routed through the federal government. And if no one cares about your representative, they don't care about getting you money. You're not going to get it. That's a fact. That's a reality that we have out there. So I did that comparison, and I do ask you to check it out. But the more important part of that is that it goes to the question of whether or not the federal government deserves to be able to get a raise. And I'll tell you, and this is an article from desertnews.com from Utah. It's one of their newspapers. And in there, they are quoting Congressman Ben McAdams, who is a freshman, just like Anthony Brindisi. And Representative McAdams says, I don't think it's something that Congress should take up this year. Especially in my experience, compensation is always linked to job performance. And Congress as a whole hasn't earned a pay increase. Okay, so this is a Democrat who's new to Congress, and he's telling you right then and there, he doesn't think Congress deserves to get a pay raise, which, I agree with. But this is a Democrat telling you that. And the article, by the way, is, again, it's from the Desert News. The article is Utah Representative Ben McAdams, other Democrats put congressional pay raise on hold. So he doesn't think that. In fact, he even goes into, and the article goes into talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who does think. Again, we're talking about the bartender who wasn't making $174,000. She wasn't making $50,000. She was a bartender. She was probably making somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000 a year, who now got a pay upgrade to $174,000. She's probably making somewhere, let's assume she was the best bartender ever in existence, which I truly doubt, and she was making $50,000 a year, and she just got a pay raise. You know what? She is astounding. She is the best that has ever been at bartending. She made $100,000 a year. She got a pay raise to go to Congress. She still got a pay raise. And she can't live on $174,000, apparently. And she goes, yep, voting against costs of living increases for members of Congress may sound nice, but doing so only increases pressure on them to keep dark money loopholes open. This makes campaign finance reform, quote, harder. All workers deserve cost of living increases, including minimum wage workers. This is her tweet that she put out Tuesday of this week. Okay, let me get this right. So somehow a person who makes $174,000 paid by the taxpayers, paid by people who make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, the minimum wage workers that she's talking about, the minimum wage workers are having money taken away from them to give her $174,000. And she wants more of the minimum wage workers' pay so that she can have a pay raise. John the intern, does that sound fair?
Absolutely not. No.
Because am I wrong? Is that not what we're talking about here?
No, you're absolutely right.
I mean, Congress gets paid by taxes, right?
Right. The taxpayer, yeah.
Okay. So they get paid by the taxpayer, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks that she deserves more money, which means we have to get more taxes from the public, which means that poor people, those minimum wage workers need to give up more of their money to her.
Isn't she supposed to be the champion of the middle class and the, downtrodden and all that stuff?
She thinks people are idiots. Because she thinks people will not do the simple calculation I just did and say, you know what, you're not worth it.
No.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Green New Deal, it's not passing. Yeah, it's got a lot of attention. She doesn't have a lot of support. She can't. Democrats are trying to figure out how to get rid of her. The mainstream moderate Democrats are trying to get rid of her, which is actually pretty easy to do. They can run a candidate, and if that doesn't work, they'll just redistrict that area into non-existence.
They'll just gerrymander her out.
Yeah, gerrymander her out. So, but the question is, what is she talking about? Does she actually think about what she says before she says it? I want everyone to get a pay increase, but give me more of the money from the poor people. I want more of their money. So we need to increase their pay so I can take more of that pay. As a percentage, the more you make, the more the government can take away from you. So if you get a pay increase, you're a minimum wage, they increase the amount of minimum wage, they're going to take more money from you than they were taking before, which means Congress gets more money to spend and or to have a pay raise. Oh my God, isn't that horrible? It is horrible. Okay, so let's move on. Let me move forward here because this is really, it aggravates me. And I'm going into detail because most media don't. They don't talk about this. They don't give you the comparison. They just tell you, oh, well, we should have a pay raise. No. Or they do something that's equally just as dishonest, in my opinion. And we see this with Representative Anthony Brindisi in particular. He's out there saying, hey, you know what? I don't want the pay raise. I don't want to get a pay raise. What you should do is I'm going to put out a bill that says we won't get a pay raise. Anthony, you're out of your mind. Let's start off with the first thing. And again, here's yet another member of the Democratic Party. These aren't Republicans I'm quoting. These are Democrats. This is the Fitzpatrick. Representative Fitzpatrick says, gridlock on major issues must not be rewarded. Members of Congress need a reality check. Everyone recognizes that Congress doesn't deserve the money that they're asking for. So here's the thing. And everyone who's saying, well, we shouldn't get any money, they're all putting out a bill. And every one of them is saying, well, we need to stop this. We need to stop this. This can't happen. We need to put out a bill. And I'm putting out it'll be a law. Don't you support that? Am I not a great person doing my job? Except then you think about the reality. And the reality is, as reported by Politico on June 10th, 2019, Democrats to pull bill raising congressional pay after backlash. Quote, without action on the floor, the pay increase would automatically go into effect under current law. Democratic leaders would need to allow a specific vote to block the cost of living increase, which members have done every year for a decade. So the answer is no, you don't need a law. That's just, and I said this to someone on Facebook, what they're looking to do, Anthony Brindisi, is they are looking to profit off of this. So you have one set of Democrats that are looking to profit by increasing the pay, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then on the other end, you have people like Anthony Brindisi who are looking to profit from saying, no, we don't want to do that. I'm a man of the people. I get paid enough money. We should stop Congress from getting automatic pay raises. And we need a bill. Otherwise, we're going to get the money. No, that's a lie. That is misrepresenting the truth. The fact is, all you have to do is put out a vote. They can do a floor vote. It stops right there. Done. Every year. And if one day the government makes enough money, or you could possibly allow the pay raise somewhere in the future, but realistically, you don't need a bill to say, oh, we don't need to do the pay raise. They've been taking care of that for a decade. He just wants to have something to say for his reelection. He wants something to say, I'm doing my job in Congress. No, you're not. You're not. And that's just a simple reality. You're not. You have no influence. No one cares about anything that you put out there. When you're putting out bills that are getting one person that are supporting it, when your best bill you could possibly come up with is 7 words that have no impact, I'm telling you, or that the best thing you can do is you get a report. That's it. That's the best you can do. No one cares. And even that can't get support. I'm sorry, you're done. So I'm talking about a lot of these things, but I want to take a break because my throat is dry and I need to find a new battery for my mouse because it's giving me a bit of a problem. So we're going to try and take a quick break, and then we'll come right back and we'll talk about something completely different.